mic. Now we have sound. Guess what? We get to do without that all over again.
Why does it still shows the mic?
Right, but no, it's the buttons here.
Oh, so we were just talking.
I'm so sorry. So you guys just saw us yammering away. Anyway, let's start this again.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Laura Nicole. This is Cold Reads, brought to you by Resonant Audiobook Solutions. I am wearing a Gilmore's Glorious Good shirt. If you are a critter, I love you. This is my friend Melissa Lewis-Gentry, who just gave you a great intro about what she does with modern myths, and I realized that my microphone wasn't on. Oops. So, it's a work in progress, people. What can I say? One more time.
All right.
With feeling.
Hi, my name is Melissa Lewis-Gentry. I am the manager by day of Modern Myths, Comics, and Games in Northampton, Massachusetts. We sell comics and games.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. I think we're good.
Okay. It's my favorite game store in the region. So you should definitely check them out. Their link is in the show notes. And we're gonna read chapter 2 of Stonebriar Casefiles. I put out a call. Ow. Thanks, Melissa.
You're welcome.
I just busted my toe and it hurt.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We're both really tired because it's been a long day. But it's Dog Days of Podcasting, and I said I would do this all month long because I'm a crazy person. Anyway, so I put out a call on the Stonebriar Casefiles Facebook page. You know, does anybody want to come read? Because I've got a couple of different vocal parts that it would be more fun having another person there too. Melissa jumped on and said, "Hey, I'm free tonight."
Because I'm never free.
No, we don't get to see each other except when we're working together. So it's really nice to have you here working with me for once instead of me working for you.
I'm happy to help.
Now, Melissa's going to do something that I told you not to do, but this is easier for reading. She's going to be reading from the book, from opening the book. And you all know how I feel about paper noises. But this is Cold Reads. So we're going to break all the rules, but I am still going to put up the words for you to follow along. Because I don't know if it's helpful, but it makes me less self-conscious thinking about you all seeing me reading. If that's actually something you want, leave a message in the comments. So, without further ado, let me share with you chapter 2, and we will, well, before we do that, I suppose we should go over some directional notes. So, Melissa is going to be reading 2 different parts for me. First, she will be reading the part of Liza. Now, Liza is Beatrix's subordinate. She's like her second in command. Mm-hmm. Liza's personality is very relaxed. She rolls with the punches and is just like, okay, this is a new development. We'll go with it. She does have some reactionary things, like if something is actually kind of like, oh my god, this is morally wrong, she'll have a reaction, but most of the time she's pretty chill. Okay. The other person that you're going to be reading who's going to come up first is Dorian. Now, as we stated in the very first episode of Cold Reads, this story was originally written for our Pieces of 8 Autism Speaks issue of Flying Out in Press, and we had one character that had to be on the spectrum of autism. And so using a couple of my friends as inspiration, Dorian has Asperger's. So when you're reading him, I would like you to be a little faster because their brains go so fast. I can't keep up. So he thinks fast. He likes to be in a routine, and when that routine is interrupted, it kind of has to do a system restart. Okay. Does that all make sense to you?
That makes sense to me.
Okay. All right. Now we're actually going to begin. It is a cold read. We are allowed to make mistakes. It is okay. All right, here we go. Share. Now you all should be able to see. Yes, perfect. All right. Chapter 2. It felt good to fly back down the cool hallways. The familiar sights and sounds of the whirring machines were more comforting than I could have imagined. With my roommate's cat getting cozier with my living space every day, there was more danger there than in reviewing cases. Before I could get down to processing, I had to pass my old office. It was still taped off, and people were continuing to check all of the areas of the office and clean splinters out of the carpet. I wanted to go and collect some of my things, but that was a sure way to get me thrown out of the building. I turned the corner and was greeted by a much happier sight. Dorian, who was working on the processing of evidence. The lab technician was so diligent in all of his methods that it was no real surprise that he would be put to this task. Taking a look around the room, I could see that Max was understating just how backlogged they were. Boxes of case files were stacked at one end of the room to be entered, while a much smaller stack of 2 boxes were completed and ready to go to forensics. Poor Dorian was so methodical that he would check what was written and what he typed into the computer 3 times or more before he was satisfied that he had accurately recorded the evidence. "Who did you piss off to get this job?" I asked as he returned a folded set of jeans to its evidence bag.
"Beatrix!" he shouted.
I had missed him so, and clearly he had missed me, since he jumped up from his chair and let me hug him. I could smell oatmeal and cinnamon. "You went to breakfast without me?"
"Were we supposed to have breakfast? Did I forget?"
Genuine concern filled his eyes. "Oh no, I just smelled it on you."
"What are you doing here? I thought you were on administrative leave,"
he asked as he sat back down in his seat. Let me start that over again. He asked as he sat back down in his seat, calming down from my surprise entrance. I landed on the desk and sat on the mouse. "Well, that wasn't my idea. And rather than calling in to see if I could come back, you know how I hate to use phones." Dorian giggled.
"They're too big for you to use. You said it was like doing hopscotch to talk back and forth."
Exactly. Well, I figured rather than getting Bryce's voicemail again, I would come down to the station and wait for him, have a face-to-face discussion so that I could get a feeling for what's going on. Luckily for me, a mob has shown up protesting my existence, so I get to hang out and help with entering evidence for a few hours until the stupid people leave. Dorian frowned.
"Well, people are stupid."
I sighed. My friend must have been called that a lot growing up with autism. "You're right. But those people?" I pointed to a television monitor that could be seen in the next room. The newscast was playing footage of the anti-magic protesters. "Those people who hate me and my kind just because we aren't human, who do not even know me, but want to kill me. They are stupid because they choose to be."
"I do not like that word."
He relaxed a little once I understood I wasn't talking about him. "Okay, do you have a better one?" I fluttered down to the station and pulled the next piece of evidence toward me. Using my modified mimic spell, I began to copy the information into the database.
"Imbecilic?"
he quipped. "Doltish."
"Good one."
He smiled as he watched my spell enter words onto the computer screen.
"Obtuse."
We went back and forth for another few rounds before I needed to move the freshly logged evidence to their lab technicians.
"I'll take those,"
Dorian said, reaching over me to lift the box.
"Liza is working on this case. She'd love to see you if you have time later."
I shook my head and gave a slight chuckle. She saw me this morning before she left for work.
Well,
Dorian was stuck. His eyes faltered, darting from the box in his hand to the door. Without a word, he walked out as if he were on a mission. No doubt he wanted to get back to the comfort and safety of his lab. It was great to stretch out my powers and do something. Even when I got to the bag of soiled... Oh, I forgot about this line. Even when I got to the bag of soiled clothes, I was too focused on the mimic spell to notice. Well, that was until a new voice broke my rhythm.
Ugh, what is that smell?
Liza covered her nose even before entering the room. It was then that my sense of smell was overwhelmed by the smell of human... It was then that my sense of smell was overwhelmed by the smell of human fecal matter. I focused to keep myself from getting sick. Just think of it as a method to determine the time of death. Here's the thing to remember about dead humans versus dead magics. Humans smell worse as they decompose. Magics, being partially plant-based, have a plant-type smell. Most people don't pick up on it until it's absent, which is a sign that the magic has died.
You're always on the job, aren't you?
I've been solving puzzles and crimes for a few centuries. I think I know a thing or two. Liza stared at me, sizing me up. What?
How old are you?
As old as the tree that bore me.
You're joking, right?
Liza quirked a smile. James Barry took some facts of my people and then took artistic license with our history. The Celts have a more accurate story. Essentially, we are born of the earth to protect it.
Do you have parents?
I need you to be louder.
Do you have parents?
Thank you. She sat down next to me as I started spell weaving again. Sort of. When Fae are ready to grow their family, each type has a way of acquiring one, depending on their environment. In the grassland, some will plant wild flowers or take a changeling.
They still children?
They justify it by thinking it is better than being abducted by trolls or other humans. Most of those practices are used only in extreme cases, especially now that Fae are part of the mainstream society. I resealed the onerous garments and opened a bottle of amber oil that I keep in the corner of the room for just such occasions. Before moving on to the next case box.
But you're not from the grasslands.
Right, I'm woodland born. So they plant trees and bushes to get new fairies. Some plants do spring up unplanned, and in that instance, older Fae can choose to adopt them.
You still didn't answer my question.
Liza prodded. I had to stop my casting so that I could look at her. I couldn't keep her gaze for very long. What? We missed something. Sorry, folks. Hang on. Oh, thank you. She might have been part magic and just not know it. She might have been part magic and just not know it, the way she could make tongues loosen with a certain look. Okay, I sighed. Close the door and use this spray bottle to get the smell out of here. Liza did as I asked. She had the right to know more about me as she had taken me in. And even before then, she kept the rest of my team in line when I was starting as lead investigator on the CSI team. So, technically, I'm a wildling. I was born from a briar bush.
You just said you were born of a tree.
Liza was quick to catch everything that someone says. It's one of the reasons I sent her to observe investigations. That's an expression that the Fae use, I said hurriedly, as I wanted to get to the point. Anyway, I was found by one of the matrons of the Elderwood. She hadn't planned for any children, as she was always working on helping out our people and neighboring races of magics in one area or another. She used to say that I was her true love, and she waited all her life to meet me. The memory of my mother's old saying brought a smile to my face. I missed her, but I promised I would not cry when I remembered her. Let's see. When I found out I couldn't grow anything worth a damn, I got apprenticed by Master Amberstone to be a magistrate. Basically, someone who solves problems and handles interracial incidents. That was what I was doing during the massive October snowstorm we had a few years back. Liza nodded.
Snowmageddon, I remember. But how did the picture of you got on social media?
I was working with a group of trolls and goblins who had an underground trade route dispute. They were showing me the tunnels in question when the tunnels collapsed under the weight of fallen branches. I went to the surface to see if I could find out what was going on. I saw a light and swore it was another fairy. I got hit by another falling branch, and when I woke up, I was surrounded by a couple of humans who had saved me, but took my picture and shared it online. Since it was my fault that magics had been exposed to man, I took on the responsibility of bridging the gap between our peoples until someone with more diplomacy took over. Liza was taking it all in thoroughly.
That's a lot of change.
Yep. I took a moment to breathe. Listen, I'm not ready for everyone to know all of my business. Can we keep this between you and me? She smiled kindly.
No worries, Trix.
She glanced at the clock and shot out of her chair.
Damn it, I'm going to be late for court. I'll catch up with you later.
And before I could wish her luck, she was down the hall and rushing for the parking lot. I looked up at the television in the other room. The station featured clips of the riots in Central Park, Yosemite, and other parks and forests. My heart caught in my throat as I recognized my new neighbors being interviewed. Liza might be in trouble if I stayed with her. Procedure wouldn't allow me to stay at the police station either. My options were dwindling. 10 case boxes later, Rice came into the room. I haven't seen so many people in the evidence room since, well, ever, I said, sitting on top of the last case box to get it closed. Well, you're in high demand. His smile was tinged with sadness. Hey, listen, SB. It's getting really bad out there. His quest for words scrolled down on his face. Once he had slain the linguistic dragon, he sighed. As soon as there's a clearing, we need to get you out of town. Just until the court date. I want to give you an escort. That'll cause more attention than it's worth. I can go at sunset when it would be difficult to track me. It seemed my choice was made for me. When is the court date? Thursday next week. I can make myself scarce until then. I didn't need to tell him where I was going. He already knew that I would be well out of cell phone range. It was time to go back to the Elderwoods. Yay! All right, let's stop sharing. There we go. So that was chapter 2, mistakes and all. And Munchkin, let's introduce the monster dog.
Oh,
This is my monster. This is a Munchkin.
wow.
And she is a monster.
And she has been desperately seeking attention underneath the computer the whole time.
Exactly. So, so thank you for your patience, tiny dog. So what'd you think? What'd you think of that?
It was fun. I'm bad at this.
No, you're not. You just need to project more.
Okay, cool. Cool.
So, you took direction really well, which was good.
Okay.
You went with my spelling mistakes on the screen.
Cool.
So that was good. And you read from the screen instead of from the book, which I appreciated.
Yeah.
So yeah. And you know, I'd really like to have more people on. I'd like to have you on again when the stars align and we're free. I know, this was really cool.
Yeah.
Munchkin just wants to nom on my hand, so I don't know what's going on here.
Doggy.
Is a dog. Is a dog. And now we've devolved into silliness because it is almost 10 o'clock at night, our time. Oh, I've had a long day. Have you had a long day? I'm sure you have.
We're just going to go with the word yes. And
yes.
Not elaborate.
We're not elaborating, but we've both had a really long day. And we thank you. I thank you particularly. Munchkin thanks you too for watching Cold Reads episode 2. If you like what I'm doing, I'm going to be doing this daily until Stonebriar Casefiles is finished, which will be probably by the 24th or 25th, because there are a couple of long chapters that I'm going to split up. So there's that. If you want to purchase the book and get spoilers, you can do so on Amazon. Search for Laura Nicole Stonebriar, and you will find Stonebriar Casefiles to read. It is both in paperback and on ebook, but if you get a paperback and you see me at a convention or something, I will sign it for you. If you want me to send you one, send me an email and I'll send you one and I'll sign it. Granted, it is a first edition. I know that there needs to be edits done. If you send me edits to lauranicoleaudio@gmail.com, I have a file full of fan edits that I'm going to take and put into my second edition of this book. I love that Munchkin's ears are like the only thing that's showing here.
She's tiny.
She is tiny. She's not as tiny as the kitten, but that's okay. I haven't had Shoulder Kitty in this show yet, but maybe once he's better.
Kitten, and you're holding out on me.
Shoulder Kitten is kind of sick right now, so
poor kitty.
He's in quarantine.
Okay, that's legit.
So, Cold Reads is covered under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Derivative 3.0 license, which means that you can share this video. You can download it. You cannot edit it, and when you do post it, you would just have to link back to me. It's that easy. I want people to see me. I want you to share this with people if you think this is a cool idea. If you want to be on my show, really, seriously, email me. My link's in the notes thingy. Subscribe. You'll hear more cool things. And then after this, I'm going to have people submitting short stories and news stories and voice actors. It's going to be fun. I'm not begging. I'm not begging, right?
No, that's what Munchkin does.
That's what Munchkin does. Munchkin might be begging. Yeah. Join my channel. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thanks for joining me, Melissa. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
And we'll see you tomorrow on Cold Reads.